Buckeye Nation, welcome back to another episode of the Buckeye Breakdown Podcast. Anthony Moeglin alongside my partner, former Buckeye, Kevin Woidke, as we're working our way through another summer week. Kevin, it finally does feel a little bit like summer for us up in Northeast Ohio. The sun's out, it's shining. We got 84 degrees. We've been getting out, playing a little golf, getting some sunshine, and doing all the things as we work our way towards the start of the college football season here, Kev. So we got a nice show here for the people, covering off on everything that's been going on in Buckeye world. And before we get into that, Kev, big week here. We got the U.S. Open coming up. We got a whole bunch of stuff. What is on tap for you as we head towards our first full weekend of June?
Oh, just a lot of nonsense.
Don't be too excited, dude. Don't be too excited.
No, it's just it should be a fun weekend. No, I'm just at jury duty today, so it's safe to say that the energy isn't really there, but that's a future me problem. But we'll bounce back throughout the episode. But no, this weekend I got some buddies coming to town. Got Father's Day, obviously, a lot of golf watching, a lot of porch sitting. That's what my plan is.
Sounds like a little slice of heaven, and we won't remind you, but Kev was stuck in traffic for the last 2 hours here. So tough drive home down Route 90. So anyway, good reminder there is Father's Day. So don't forget to shout out Pop here as Sunday rolls around. But Kev, in terms of the Buckeyes, obviously a slow time of the year in terms of actual news and stuff going on. But we did get some really cool news that's going to start off the college football season. It was not a surprise to anybody, being that College Gameday started its first show, and first headgear episode was at Ohio Stadium down in Columbus, and it makes perfect sense that on Lee Corso's final show ever, they'll be back at Ohio State for the Ohio State-Texas game. And awesome. It's going to be a really cool environment to begin with. Adding those guys into the mix is going to be really cool, especially with Corso's final show being in Columbus.
Yeah, no, it'll be fun. Hopefully the power doesn't go out again like it did the last time both Big Noon Kickoff and College Gameday was in town. So that means we get to hear our great Pat McAfee going crazy. He'll probably go against what Corso says. It's just how he does it. But no, it'll be fun. It'll be entertaining. The guys, when they're walking in, doing the skull session walk, they walk right past where they usually set up, which it was always cool to look at and see. By the time we would walk past, they'd be done with all their stuff usually, but or they hadn't started yet, one of the two. I think they were probably done with their stuff, but it was always pretty empty. But you saw the stage and it was like, oh, it's today. Yeah. And sometimes they move it to the Oval, which would be pretty cool as well. But where Lee Corso did his first game day, I'm pretty sure is that spot by the ROTC building. Mm-hmm. So I'm assuming that's where they'll put it.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And I know we lean on you a lot because you experience a lot of this stuff. But, do you guys inside the locker room, right, outside the locker room, fans get all caught up in the hype. I know I was a fan. I've always been a fan. But, hey, game day's coming to town. It's a big game. What are kind of the, inside the locker room? I'm not so much maybe the game day perspective of it because that is just a show. But, knowing that it is a big game, maybe it's early in the year, still going to be a noon kickoff. What are do the guys know, I guess, is my question. And does it mean anything inside the locker room as much as it does outside of the locker room when some of those big time shows come to town to kind of showcase Ohio State?
Yeah, it definitely means something. The coaches are running around. They got recruits. They're trying to shuffle the recruits over there to check it out. Maybe don't put them on like they did with Micah Parsons, but each their own. They learn from that mistake. But it's just a lot of chaos for the coaches too. But I think that kind of nervousness trickles down. I think the fact that it's usually a big game and the fact that most times when it's a big game and game days there, it's not the first week of the year. Yeah. So you'll have the first week jitters plus big game jitters plus it being noon, which I mean, they might as well just call it OSU noon kickoff at this point.
Sure.
But it'll be interesting to see what they choose to how they choose to get the guys ready. Coach Mick is going to have something in store for them, ready to go. From the wake up call to the warm up to the quick film review to the usual game day routine that they put us through. And it'll be some first time game day routines for some people like Matt Patricia, like
dude, Julian saying, how about that? I mean, whoever the starter's going to be,
Well, I assume Julian saying will have been through. Was he with us last?
He was, with us last year. But you're going to have a new starter at the quarterback position. You're going to have a couple new guys up front, right? You lose both your tackles. I mean, all of those things do factor in, and it is the bright lights. These guys aren't going to be new to the shoe by any means. There'll be maybe a handful, but it's still going to be a really neat environment. Also, just the fact that ESPN rarely gets any Ohio State games outside of the playoff because everything's on Fox, like you said. Might as well be OSU noon kickoff. But yeah, it will be cool to have those guys in town, and then obviously with Lee Corso having his final show, I think it's going to be really, really awesome, and the environment is going to be sweet. So from one coach to another, there was a really good clip of Ohio State's former Ohio State head coach Urban Meyer, who was on Colin Cowherd's show, The Herd, earlier in the week, and really had a couple good sound bites. I know I wrote a story yesterday about what he talked about Lincoln Riley, and he had a couple really cool hits. Definitely recommend the listen, if you will, for this week's show. But I'm going to pull up one clip about Urban Meyer talking about the sustained success that Ohio State has had, especially in recruiting. Then Kevin and I will react to it on the other side here.
Portal, Lincoln Riley heavy portal, Deion Sanders heavy portal. You can buy players, you can't buy chemistry.
It doesn't sound like
Ohio State.
It does not. The sound didn't go through here, so we're gonna pull that off the screen here. Oh, you're getting it? All right, here we'll run it back here. Okay, you're getting it. We're gonna restart it here on my side of things. We're getting back into it too. So here we go. We're gonna repull this on up live TV. Stuff like this happens. So we're going to let it run through here.
Lincoln Riley heavy portal, Deion Sanders heavy portal, Belichick heavy portal. You can buy players, you can't buy chemistry. Ohio State has bought elite players, but for some reason, Ryan Day has made it work where they've had an influx of guys. Maybe they just get better guys, but I'm watching a lot of these guys. I think Lincoln can coach. I think Brian can coach. I think Deion's been a good coach. How is Ohio State used the NIL and it's worked for them? It hasn't disrupted chemistry.
A lot of guys equated it to back in the day when Kansas State was getting all the junior college players, and most college coaches avoided that because they didn't want to disrupt their culture. You look at Mike Norvell, that might be the case study for you take an undefeated team, take a bunch of transfers, and they took some wrong guys, quite honestly. You watch them play from one year to the other, and they're not even close to what it was. Where you look at Ohio State, I think Ohio State, and I've talked to Coach Day about this, and Mark Pantoni, their GM, is that they have never been more cautious about what they bring into that program. First of all, you don't need to change much. Right, they recruit on a level, they recruit on an incredible level. So if you're going to bring someone in, I got there at a point a couple of times in my career where do not take that person if that can disrupt the culture. Don't do it. And as a result, we let some good players get away from us, but we're not going to change our culture.
There, now we go. Now we're getting. I had to unmute everybody there after that one, but I thought it was really cool, Kev, to hear Urban kind of talk about the importance of bringing in the right people, and there's some really perfect examples on both sides. Teams that have done it, who've brought in the right guys. He talked about Mike Norvell down at Florida State bringing in a whole collection of the wrong guys, and seeing what that have. I thought that was a pretty insightful answer on something that is college football these days and what it's turned into.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of coaches, not just football. Like when you are a young coach that's a young head coach that isn't tested, isn't seasoned, doesn't have the experience, you have to sacrifice character for talent sometimes because you got to win games to get to the point of where you can start to be like, hey, we trust you as a coach. You bring in who you want to bring in. Like you could get away with some 4 stars because hey, we trust that you're going to do what you need to do. And you also get to pull when you're a head coach, football, basketball, baseball, you just don't want to put up with that anymore. Like you're done. And this goes from MAC basketball to SEC football. Like Nick Saban had an unbelievable ability of bringing in elite talent, but because they were Alabama, he had the pick of the litter. And it was this is a good guy, this is a good guy. You don't see a lot of people leaving Alabama not acting like men. And it's the same thing with Ohio State over the last 6-7 years, where you see a lot of people enter the NFL, and there's some of them. Obviously, every person, every team, everything makes mistakes, but I would say a majority of them. Like you look at Garrett Wilson, you look at Chris Olave, you look at Marvin Harrison, you look at C.J. Stroud, you look at Justin Fields. I mean, you look at Cade Stover, you look at Tommy Eichenberg. I could go on and on. Like it's incredible. Like Josh Myers, who's now about to be on the Jets, Jeremy Rucker. Like they're good guys that aren't getting into issues because they were high character guys who knew how to be men and knew how to act like adults at the age of 17, 18 years old. And that's what Ryan Day is doing. If anyone didn't hear, because I don't know if the question posed was,
I hope. So.
I know. It was, how has Ohio State bought elite players and kept the chemistry? And Coach Meyer said it's because they're cautious about who they're bringing in. And that's the truth. It's the same mentality Fortune 500 companies have. Long to hire, short to fire. They're going to take their time evaluating who they're bringing in. And if it isn't a fit for them, and then they're like, hey, go hit the portal.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? We thought you were a different person that we were bringing in here. You can go excel at a different place with a different culture. Not saying that they're a bad person. Just, hey, not everyone's good at standardized testing. Not everyone's good at school. Like that's just the reality. I knew some people that were very lazy, but were phenomenal test takers. And that's just the reality situation. That's the difference between an MD and a DO. It's if you're good at a Scantron or not. Like that just, I mean, that's the difference. But
that's where I went wrong. That's how I didn't get it.
Yeah. Like, I mean, they're both doctors. They're both excel. They both are great at their field, but the 2 letters are different. And 9 times out of 10, it's because one could hit that number on the MCAT and the other couldn't.
Yeah, no,
and that's just the reality of the situation.
It's dead right, man. And the most impressive part to me is that in this world of everyone leave, hey, you're not going to get your shot. Like Ohio State had, I forget, I think it was no transfers, a handful of transfers. Like these guys are coming in and they're all buying into the culture. They're buying into what it takes to evaluate, or excuse me, what it takes to compete at the highest level. You got first round draft picks all over the field. You got generational players on both sides of the football, and you're not getting guys to leave because they're recruiting the right guys, and the guys they're bringing in the transfer portal are a fit. And you can be picky when you are Ohio State. And I also think, Kev, there's there's a level of learning that goes into it. And Ryan Day's been around this program now for a really, really long time. And even back to your days, like I'm sure it wasn't perfect. And I think Urban talked about it. I forget if he said it exactly, but it was something that he had to learn too, of like, hey, you can't just bring everybody. You can't bring anybody in, and you can't just like, oh, you're the best player, we're bringing you in. Coaches have to learn that. And the fact that Urban even said that, hey, maybe he had to learn it a little bit as well. Ryan Day got to see all that stuff, not as the head guy. And now that he's in that position, he can be so picky and choosy about who he's bringing in. And it pays dividends, and it's evident. It's like a tangible thing on this Ohio State roster.
I mean, yeah, we had 23 people either transfer in or transfer out. Mm-hmm. I think that was our number. And I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14 of so half came in, half went out, and that was the reality situation. One of them went to Texas. I didn't really know that. Hero went to Texas. That'll be a fun week one for him. But that's the reality situation. That's the culture they've built. Ryan Day has built this unbelievable culture there that is evident when you walk in the building. Like you walk in there and you're talking to people, and that's just how it is. It exudes. It's all the way from. I mean, you want to talk about someone who's been there for all of it. It's Coach Hinton. Coach Tim Hinton has been there for the beginning of the year with Meyer era to current day Ryan Day. Ryan Day era.
That was good.
That's the real situation, and he's seen how it's evolved.
Yeah.
But it's insane that he's been able to do this in such a short term that usually takes coaches like Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, Dabo Sweeney, multiple stops of building up to this to learn this lesson where he's just picked up on it so quickly.
It's damn impressive. And the results are, you have the best team in the country and you can reload at an unbelievable rate, especially in an era where, everyone's still trying to figure it out, right? There's going to be still iterations of how NIL and the transfer portal are used. Hopefully there is some guardrails that get put up, more guardrails that get put up on the transferring thing. I think that could be a song for another time for us. But regardless, the moral of the story is that Ohio State is in an unbelievable spot in terms of the transfer world, in terms of the NIL world, and they're set up both in the short term and the long term to be successful. And it doesn't happen overnight. So, Kev, we're going to get out of here on this. We're going to take a way too early look at the Buckeyes 2025 schedule here, and we're going to introduce a new segment that we're going to be doing throughout the summertime here, because no surprise to anybody, there's not much news that's going to happen between June 12th and when camp starts. So we're going to do what we're going to call, what are we calling it? I forget what we're calling it. Calling our shot.
Yeah, calling our shot.
Calling our shot. So the idea here is we're going to go through each week and make some kind of a prediction, whether it is, hey, we're going to blow out Texas by 14 points, or hey, against OU, Carnell Tate's going to have 3 touchdowns. And then as the year rolls on, we're going to look back at what we predicted and see how we did. See if we were able to make the right assumption, make the right prediction, or if we get caught with some egg on our face. So today we're going to talk through the schedule, look through and see some of the games we're most excited about, and then we'll get into the call our shot segment in our upcoming shows here in the future. So obviously, Ohio State opens up with Texas on August the 30th. It's going to be the talk of all of college football. Then they go into their little stretch. They take on Grambling in week 2 at a 3:30 kick, and then their first and only night game of the season, a matchup with the Bobcats. That one's actually going to be a lot of fun. OU comes to town, and there's going to be a ton of it's just going to be it's going to be the Ohio Bowl. It's going to be pretty sweet down in Columbus. And then they head west to take on the Washington Huskies out in Seattle. That one's going to be an unbelievably fun matchup. Then they come home for a game against Minnesota, travel to Champaign to take on Illinois, and then another fun one. They're going to Madison to take on the Wisconsin Badgers before coming home against Penn State. And then they end their year with a 4-game stretch of at Purdue, against UCLA, against Rutgers, and then they head up to Ann Arbor to take on the team up north. So, Kev, we're going to X out the final game. Obviously, everyone has that one circled against the team up north. But out of any game next season, which one or two do you have circled, and ones that you're most excited to see come the fall?
So I really like. I mean, there's 2 bye weeks. I'm trying to see if I can pinpoint where each of them are, but or maybe do we only have 1 now? Didn't they used to? It doesn't matter. But one I'm excited for is Penn State following a bye week, because 9 times out of 10 we've gotten Penn State's best shot with 2 weeks of prep against us, and it'll be great to be able to even those odds at home in Columbus. Another one I'm excited to do is go back into Purdue and dominate, because I don't know the last time we played in Purdue, but I know the last time I did, and we lost. And then the other one that I think will be a really fun game to watch will be Wisconsin in Wisconsin on October 18th. It'll be I mean, it'll be a blast. I'm excited for it. I got a wedding that day, so I'll be watching on my phone.
Wow.
Hopefully it's a day game because I don't want to be watching it while the dance floor is open, but I will.
You're a tear up the dance floor kind of guy.
Oh, 100%. But no, it'll be fun. I think those are my kind of 3 games, and they're the 3 in a row right there. But
yeah,
those are the 3 I'm excited to see because if we can go into Wisconsin, I mean that's our first after an away Illinois, which will hopefully isn't a dud.
Yeah.
Hopefully we handle business there. But at Illinois can always be tough. They did it against, I think, Wisconsin Northwestern last year, the year before. And then we go into Camp Randall, which will be anything but a dud. I guarantee that's going to be a night game.
It's got to be a night game or a big noon kickoff, right?
Oh, God. I mean, who knows?
No, you're right. That Illinois game is one that you circle and you think that's going to be a weird vibe game, right? Like there's something about that damn field where there's that big eye on it. It's going to be noon. It's going to be cold. It may be rainy. And you're going to get like the ESPN or Fox's like C broadcast team. And it's just going to have a weird vibe to it. And those are always kind of goofy. The two I have circled are both some of our new friends. The first one is that trip out to Seattle to take on Washington. That's going to be sweet, man. Did you ever play out there? I don't think you would have ever played out there. Have you ever been to that stadium?
No. My buddy's little sister just graduated or is graduating from there, and he raved about it, but I haven't been. But I'd definitely be excited, and if the opportunity presented itself and I wasn't busy every weekend this fall, that'd be something I'd be wanting.
That's going to be one where everyone's that's the travel one. That's the travel destination. That stadium is right on the sound, right on the Puget Sound. And it literally like the one end zone looks over it. I guess you'd call it the west end zone, looks out into the ocean. I cannot wait for that one. That one's going to be really sweet. And then the one home game that I have circled, I think you and I were talking about it the other day, but the game against UCLA where they come to town in late November. It's going to be a cold time for the LA boys to come to Ohio, but it'll be cool to see a new brand in that stadium and those powder blues. In my personal opinion, outside of Ohio State, I think that UCLA has a top 3 jersey combo, color combo in all of college football. So excited to see UCLA, the Bruins, come to town to take on the Buckeyes. So going to be fun, kind of previewing each of our opponents as we approach the season here. So as always, excited and appreciate everybody joining along. Before we get out of here, last things last. We talked about it on Tuesday's show or Monday night show, but we got the U.S. Open starting tomorrow. Both me and you, Kev, both golf guys, going to be dialed in. I think the first tee ball is in the air at like 6:45 tomorrow morning, something crazy like that. I will be watching it. I'll see the first to the last tee shot of this tournament. I'm a sicko from that perspective. So, Kev, the floor is yours. You said no chance Scotty Scheffler gets the win. You said you have another pick. So who is your pick to win the U.S. Open?
I mean, on this course, you need people that hit fairways, and Colin Morikawa hits.
Whoa!
I think Colin Morikawa is going to play well. I think Aaron Rai is going to have a good weekend, and I think that Shane Lowry are my 3 picks to finish inside the top 10.
You're a wild man. All right, so it's Colin Morikawa, Aaron Ryan, and Shane Lowry to finish T10. I like the finish T10 because that there you can have a little fun there, and you're always in it. I don't even know. I'm trying to find Morikawa. Yeah, Morikawa's odds for T10. He's the 5th highest or 6th highest odds guy. He's plus 2,200, 2,500 to win the tournament, but plus 180 wherever you get your line. Shane Lowry, though, a good pick on Shane Lowry. Historically plays Oakmont pretty well. He was in the lead. He was the leader after 54 holes in 2016 before he got chased down by Dustin Johnson. So a good pick there. Outside of Scotty Scheffler, I'm excited to see how Bryson attacks this course because he can kind of like overpower it or try to at least. And if he's straight off the tee, he's going to be in the mix all weekend long. I'm a Rory McIlroy guy myself. I don't think he's got the the talent to do it right now. It feels kind of like his vibes are way off, so I don't think he's going to get a win. Ludwig Oberg. I think that's a name for me. That's a T10 guy, potentially a T5 guy. He's straight off the tee, and he can really control it around the green. So I know this isn't a golf show, but we got to do a little golf content here for you guys. So we're gonna get out of here on that. Enjoy the weekends with your fathers. If you're a father yourself, happy Father's Day. Make sure you text your dad if you can, or give him a call, or go see him and wish him a happy Father's Day. So as always, appreciate everyone jumping in and hanging out with us today. Make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That every follower, every little bit helps. Also, head over to our website, si.com/college/Ohio State. Tons of written content, even in the heart of the offseason. We got you covered over there, all things Buckeye. So for my partner, Kevin Woidke, I'm Anthony Moeglin. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, or today, on the Ohio State Buckeyes on SI YouTube channel.